What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Everybody, welcome back to Animation Station, your number station for anything and everything mission, including TV and movies. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to the amazing world of Gumball, and welcome to what is by far the most disappointing episode of the entire season. Yeah, no lead-ins or nothing. We're going straight into it. The date. This episode had me thinking that this wasn't going to be all about Gumball going on a date with Penny, which I would have found incredibly cute and wholesome because I'm becoming a big fan of this dynamic and these two characters together. But unfortunately, the rest of the episode, it turns out that's not a date at all. And it completely nosedives off of a cliff. And it sucks because it starts out so well because, Gumball tells his family about the date, and then his dad decides to help him out by getting new clothes from the garbage. Just roll with it. It'll be over faster. Showing him how to get money for free by using a credit card, it's not free, that's a withdrawal, but whatever. Cartoon, schematics, whatever. And then when Gumball is all ready for his dates, then Anais comes in and say that he has to practice proper etiquette, only for him to immediately crash out after trying and him getting kicked out of her room. And then Darwin tells him to expect the unexpected in the worst way possible. So Gumball is all ready for his date and he looks very dressed up and ready to go, only to realize that it's not a date. Penny invited Gumball to a funeral because Penny had lost her pet spider. Why spiders? Why? So then the rest of the episode is Gumball being an absolute jerk because he has no idea how to act in this situation. To the point where the family disapproves of him, and it looks like Penny is even, straight up hating him at this point. So then he goes to the bathroom only to find out that Penny's pet spider didn't get flushed down the toilet and instead bit the ever-living crap out of Gumball, and then that brightens her day, but then Gumball gets infected with venom, and then the family visits him, and Penny comes to visit him and says that her pet spider wants to apologize, and the episode ends with him possibly getting attacked by the spider again. Why? Why do you have to make this episode the way that you made it? Why couldn't you just have an episode about the two of them going on a date? Like, that would have been cute and more than filled out the 11 minutes that you need. But goodness gracious, why did you go with the whole, misunderstanding trope? And why did it have to be a pet spider? Just one highlight of this episode, Gumball crashing out at a doll. That's it. Outside of that, this episode, it starts out promising, and then it immediately falls off a cliff. And the ending is just plain gross. Final verdict is a 5 out of 10. By far the most disappointing episode of the entire season, and I only hope that in Season 2 they come back to this idea and do an actual date with these two. Alright, let's finish off with the club. Alright, this episode is a lot better than the last one, but I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, outside of maybe the second half. So, this review, while it is better than the last episode we just talked about, I don't really have a lot to say, so it's still going to be pretty brief. So, what's the episode? Well, the plot is that Gumball does not have his own after-school club to go to, so he keeps trying to join other clubs to complete and total utter failure. That is until he gets cornered by the Rejects, and they want him to be their king. And as soon as he says no, they threaten to post an embarrassing video of him on the internet. So Gumball, with the help of his family, has to rush back to the library and take down the Reject Club and save his reputation, only for it to appear that all of it was for nothing because it does start getting uploaded. But thankfully, as Anais explains later, it was routed to a different server and no one saw it. And the Reject Club gets their just desserts by being dropped off naked at the mall, which we don't see, but we see them, you know, talking about the punishment. So the episode starts out kind of boring because it's just mostly Gumball going around to these different clubs and trying to take part in it without knowing what he's doing in the slightest. And it all goes to varying degrees. When he tries to join Darwin's club, he nearly drowns in the pool. Yeah, that was real smart there, buddy. Good job. And then when he tries to join the football club, it doesn't go well for him. So then he tries to make his own club of just himself, the Club of Gumball, if you will. But that fails because he realizes he literally can't catch himself doing a trust fall and, well, disbands it immediately. But once the Reject Club shows up, that's when the episode starts to get pretty interesting. Because this is where, after getting rejected one too many times, the Reject Club decides to target Gumball, and they do it in a way that makes them borderline psychopathic. Oh, and Bobert's here. Just because they needed a third wheel, I guess. And then the rest of the episode goes in a very interesting action heavy direction, as we'll talk about in the highlights. Speaking of, let's get to those highlights because I pretty much talked about everything else I want to talk about with this episode. Oh, and the writing's extremely dull too. Almost forgot that one. So, highlights. First one, and I'm not going to go very in depth on this one because I don't want to get flagged for being crude or explicit. But the towel whipping scene. This is a very, very adult joke. I'm not going to explain why, because I'd rather not get demonetized. So I'll just say, if you know, you know. And if you get it, this scene will be a lot funnier to you. Especially when the giant Sasquatch character that we've seen in the background of other episodes numerous times uh, tail whips Gumball, Banana Joe, and Tobias at the same time. And you can imagine how much that one would hurt. So, I'm not going to say anything more about it. Let's just say, if you know, you know. And finally, my last highlight is the entire second half, the Watersons versus the Reject Club. First, you have Nicole crashing out to rip the door off, but then she's unable to join them in the actual battle because she's too busy being angry and ripping doors off lockers. Then they get cornered by the first member of the Reject Club. I'm not going to bother with names right now, they're just a bunch of eggheads. And Richard literally gets stuck in a Dungeons and Dragons duel with him by literally just throwing dice to attack each other rather than actually attacking each other. So then they keep going, and then Bobert turns into his, giant killbot mode thing that we saw way back in the robot. But Anais defeats him with one finger. Why? Static electricity. And finally, there's Darwin, who is the one that distracts the last egghead. And he distracts him by getting him to join him in interpretive dance. And the expression that Darwin has on his face the entire time he's doing this is just priceless. And then it looks like Gumball's in the clear, and then he gets dragged up by the spider, which makes it look like he failed, but in reality he didn't because Anais defeated Bubber so easily. But yeah, I love the second half. The second half is genuinely great. And if the episode was more like that, rather than just Gumball being rejected from clubs over and over again for nearly 11 minutes, I probably would have liked this episode a lot more. But as it is, I think that second half is just great enough to save it. And that is why the final verdict for the club is a 7 out of 10. Pretty good episode. I definitely recommend checking it out. It does start off slow, but trust me, once you get to the actual Reject Club, that's when it really picks up. And with that, I have reviewed 6 episodes in less than an hour. Holy Toledo. The things I do for content. But thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And of course, feel free to hit the hype button down below to get us higher up in the algorithm if you so desire. You don't have to. It would just really help the channel out. And of course, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below on the episode, both episodes, or just Gumball in general. Always love hearing your different opinions. And we're getting really close to the end now for 2026 coverage of Gumball because we only have 4 uploads to do. So we only have 8 episodes left, and since I do them in sets of 2, that's only going to be 4 more videos. So it's pretty crazy that we're already almost done with this very first season. But I guess time flies when you're having fun, so to speak. Even though I will admit the second half of this season has been a bit of a confused, cluttered mess, but that's just me. We'll continue on this inconsistent, kind of sort of not really downhill trend. Find out next time when we cover the wand and the ape. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review. Peace.